All right, ready to dive deep today. We're exploring shamanism. It's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, it's not just ancient rituals or anything like that.
Right, we're really going beyond that. We're talking about how humans see the world, how we experience it.
How we think, even.
Exactly. And we've got a great guide for this deep dive, a paper called The Epistemology and Technologies of Shamanic States of Consciousness.
By Stanley Krippner.
You got it.
Really digs deep, this paper, published in the Journal of Consciousness Studies. And it argues that shamanism...
This isn't just some random cultural thing.
Yeah, it could be rooted in our biology and how our minds evolved.
I love that idea. It makes you rethink what shamanism really is. So, how would you explain it to someone who's totally new to all this?
Well, I'd say at its core, shamanism is all about accessing this realm,
Beyond our senses.
Yeah, like spirit world or something like that. And shamans, they journey into this realm to gain knowledge.
To heal.
Right, and to guide their communities.
Even the word shaman itself sounds so mysterious.
Oh, for sure. It's thought to come from the Tungus people.
Siberia, right.
You got it. And some people think it means one who is excited, moved, or raised.
Wow.
Others translate it as inner heat.
Ooh, I like that. Inner heat.
Yeah, it gives you that sense of intensity.
Transformative.
Totally.
But shamanism, though, it's not just Siberia.
No, not at all. You find it all over the world. Global phenomenon. From the Americas to Africa, Australia, you name it. It adapts, but the core is the same.
Connecting to that spirit world.
Yeah.
So we've got this global practice, maybe rooted in our biology. But how does this paper connect all that to the human mind?
Oh.
To how it evolved? That's what I'm really curious about.
So the paper looks at Stephen Mithen's work. He's an archaeologist.
Okay.
And he said that the human mind didn't just evolve all at once.
Like in stages?
Yeah. Different domains, like our understanding of nature, our social intelligence, our technical skills.
So our ancestors had these different, mental toolboxes.
That's a good way to put it.
To help them survive.
Right. But the key moment was when those domains started to come together.
What happened then?
That's when abstract thought, symbolic thinking, all of that emerged.
So are you saying that's what was crucial for shamanism to develop? This ability to think symbolically, to tell stories?
Exactly. Imagine early humans with this new power. To use symbols, to tell stories.
They could explain things they couldn't before.
Right. Create rituals, connect to something bigger than themselves.
And that's how shamanism began.
According to the paper, yeah. Our minds were, I don't know.
Primed for it.
Primed, yeah. The paper even suggests that this kind of thinking gave Homo sapiens an advantage.
Over other early humans?
Like Neanderthals. Maybe they could communicate better, build stronger bonds.
Even deal with the unknown in a more meaningful way.
Possibly. So that brings us to the technologies the paper talks about.
The actual techniques.
Right. How did shamans get into those altered states?
How do they go from symbolic thinking to actually experiencing that spirit world?
Well, the paper, it highlights all these fascinating techniques across different cultures, like, for example, psychoactive plants.
Plant medicine.
Yeah. And it tells the story of Maria Sabina.
From Mexico, right.
Yeah. Mazatec shaman used psilocybin mushrooms in her healing ceremonies.
So using plants to alter consciousness, was that the only way shamans did it?
Not usually. It was more like one tool in a whole toolkit.
Yeah, well.
Chanting, drumming, dancing, fasting, even sleep deprivation.
Whoa. Yeah.
Especially combined together, these techniques could really shift your perception.
Open the door to the spirit world.
Exactly.
I could see how that would create such a profound experience.
Yeah.
But there's also this whole thing about symbols in shamanism, right? What's their role?
Oh, symbols are essential. They're not just decoration.
They hold meaning.
Deep meaning. They're like gateways to that spirit world.
Can you give me an example? I'm trying to picture it.
Okay, so the drum, often seen as a symbol of the world tree. This cosmic axis connecting different realms.
So the shaman uses the drum to
journey between those realms, the spirit world and the ordinary world.
like a sonic portal.
Right. And even simple things like blowing smoke in 4 directions.
That has meaning.
Deep symbolic meaning. It's like calling out to the spirits of the universe.
That's incredible. So we've talked about biology, techniques, symbols, but what I'm really wondering is, how do shamans actually gain knowledge? What makes their way of knowing different?
That's where the epistemology comes in.
Epistemology.
How we know what we know. And shamanic knowledge, it's not just about mystical experiences.
There's more to that.
It's a blend. Observation of nature, intuition, dreams, visions, and communicating with spirits.
Like a multi-dimensional approach.
Yes. And the paper gives this great example.
Okay.
Rolling Thunder,
Who's that?
intertribal medicine man. said he could talk to plants.
Wait, really?
To learn their medicinal properties.
He talks to plants.
That's what he claimed. Might sound far-fetched, but Krippner, he says that many shamanic cultures, they see the world as this
signal system.
Yeah, that you can decipher in altered states.
Like tuning into a different frequency.
Exactly. And remember Maria Sabina's chants?
Yeah.
She was called, like, a woman who looks into the insides of things, a woman who investigates.
So it's active.
It's active, investigative, tied to the natural world.
Not just passively accepting information.
No, you're seeking knowledge.
Through experience.
Through those altered states.
But how do you go from those experiences,
Yeah.
the sounds, the visions, to actual knowledge, insight?
That's a good question. The paper uses this 3-stage model based on cave art studies. It says shamanic consciousness unfolds in stages.
Okay.
First stage, you get geometric patterns, phosphenes.
Those swirling colors.
Yeah, you ever see those?
Oh, yeah.
Then stage 2, you start giving those patterns meaning.
They become symbols,
Exactly.
like decoding a secret language.
And then the final stage, you interact with those meanings. You experience them.
As spirits, animals.
Mythical beings. And that's how shamans gather their knowledge.
They bring it back to their communities.
Exactly.
Wow. So we've journeyed through biology, techniques, symbols, the epistemology of shamanism. It's been fascinating so far.
Really has.
But there's this other layer we haven't touched yet.
That's right.
Higher states of consciousness.
How they relate to all this.
This is where it gets metaphysical.
It is, and that's exactly what we're diving into next. So yeah, higher states of consciousness.
How do they connect to shamanism?
Big question. And a key figure here is Ken Wilber.
Okay.
Transpersonal psychologist. Proposed this whole hierarchy of consciousness.
Transpersonal psychology. For people like me who haven't heard that term before.
It basically looks at psychology and spirituality together.
Okay.
Explores the stuff that goes beyond just our individual ego.
I like that.
And Wilber's model, it's got these levels, subtle, causal, absolute.
Like some states are more developed than others?
Right, you could say that. And Wilber says that shamanism mostly works at the subtle level.
The one with vivid imagery, spirits, and all that.
Yeah, exactly. But does that make it less advanced than other traditions?
Right, that's the question.
That's what Krippner's getting at. He says, focusing only on reaching some higher level.
You might miss something.
You might miss the value of what shamanism offers right now.
Not just rushing to the top of the ladder.
Exactly. He says reducing shamanism to just subtle ignores a lot.
Like what?
The ethics, the transformation, the connection to nature.
Stuff Wilber himself puts at those higher levels.
Right.
It's like comparing folk music to opera, you know.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Both beautiful, both powerful, but different.
And Krippner, he uses this example.
Yeah.
Maria Sabina and her ceremonies. What could she have possibly chanted that would have been better than what she already did?
Reaching a higher level wouldn't have helped her clients more.
Exactly. She was already so powerful, connected to the spirit world.
Doesn't matter where it fits on some hierarchy.
And it shows how important the cultural context is.
Right. What's higher in one place might not even make sense in another.
Right. It's about understanding the goals, the values of the practice.
Not judging it from the outside.
Right. Everyone has their own path. But this brings up a big question.
Yeah.
How does this fit into the modern world?
With all our science and technology.
Where does shamanic knowledge belong?
Krippner goes there.
He does. He says, with all our technology.
We might be losing touch with something important.
Yeah, that intuitive way of knowing.
That connection to nature, the dreams, the visions.
That's it. He says shamanic epistemology, with its direct experience.
Intuition.
Connection to nature.
All of that can enrich how we see things today.
It's like we've gotten so good at analyzing the world with our minds.
Yeah.
We've forgotten to experience it with our hearts.
That's a good way to put it. And that's where shamanism comes in.
Like a corrective.
It reminds us that knowledge isn't just facts and figures.
It's something deeper.
It's about understanding our connection to everything.
We're not just observing the world.
We're part of it.
Active participants. And that feeling of connection, it can change everything.
So you're saying we should all become shamans?
Huh. Not necessarily. But we can learn from it. Think about how shamans connect with nature. In our world.
We're glued to our screens.
Spending time in nature.
Really being present.
That can reconnect us to something deeper.
That feeling of being part of something bigger.
Something ancient and profound.
Grounding.
Healing. It reminds us we're not just isolated individuals.
Well, we're part of a web.
A web of relationships that goes way beyond what we normally see.
So we don't have to be shamans, but we can learn from them.
And that's one of the best things about Krippner's paper, I think. He's not saying abandon science.
No.
He's saying expand our understanding of what knowledge is.
Embrace a more holistic approach.
To ourselves and the world.
It's like science gives us the map.
Okay.
But shamanism tells us to actually take the journey.
To feel the ground beneath our feet.
Experience it all.
And that journey, that openness to different ways of knowing,
leads to new discoveries. Yaxley.
This has been amazing.
It really has.
We've talked about the biology of shamanism, the techniques, the symbols, the epistemology.
And story of states of consciousness.
I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for it now.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
Shamanism isn't just some ancient relic.
It's alive.
It can help us right now.
But before we wrap up, Krippner asks this one last question.
Oh, yeah.
In a world of technology and information overload,
Yeah.
can we use shamanic practices to reconnect?
To ourselves?
And to nature?
I think the answer is yes, but it takes effort.
Conscious effort.
Being willing to step outside our comfort zones.
To see things differently.
Exactly. It's about finding that sense of wonder again.
That gets lost in the everyday chaos.
We're not just consuming information.
We're creating meaning.
We can shape our experience, connect to something bigger.
Find purpose.
That goes beyond our everyday awareness.
That's beautiful, and it gets to the heart of shamanism.
I think so. That connection, that spark within us and the world around us.
Yeah, like shamanism shows us the way back.
To that primal connection.
That sense of belonging we're missing these days.
We're not just minds,
right.
Lost in information.
A catch.
We're beings connected to the earth.
To the rhythms of nature.
A whole web of life.
And shamanism, it brings us back to that, doesn't it?
It does. Through experience, through the spirit world.
It shows us a deeper way of knowing.
A deeper connection.
Yeah.
And that's essential, I think.
So important for our well-being.
Exactly. And if you think about it,
yeah,
it's about bridging this gap.
Between science
and that intuitive shamanic understanding.
Head and heart.
And Krippner, he says, this integration.
It's not just possible.
It's essential.
If we want to thrive in this crazy century.
The 21st century, yeah.
It's like we've been so focused on the trees. We've missed the forests.
The whole picture, shamanism, it helps us zoom out.
See the connections.
The sacredness of it all.
That's a powerful message. It is. And it feels urgent right now.
With everything going on.
Climate change, social unrest, technology changing everything.
We need wisdom.
We need guidance.
And shamanism, it has so much to offer.
It does. Ancient roots, but timeless wisdom.
It's not about living in the past, though.
No.
Or rejecting the modern world.
It's about remembering
what we've forgotten.
Wonder, intuition, connection, those have been pushed aside.
Yeah.
But they're part of us.
We're not just machines.
We're souls.
Capable of so much more.
And shamanism can help us find that again.
This has been an incredible journey.
It really has.
From the biology,
to techniques,
the symbols, the philosophy, the challenges.
I think we have a much better understanding now.
Of what shamanism is.
And what it means for us today.
It's not just something from the past.
No, it's alive.
It's a way of knowing, of being.
Direct experience, intuition, that connection to nature, to the spirit.
Those are things we all need.
Especially now when everything feels so fragmented.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
what have we learned?
What's one last thought you want to leave our listeners with?
Keep exploring.
Keep learning.
Read Krippner's paper.
Learn about different traditions.
See if you can bring some of this into your own life.
It's about opening ourselves up
to new possibilities
within and around us.
Exactly.
So, to everyone listening,
thank you for joining us.
Keep seeking.
Keep questioning.
Keep exploring those mysteries
of consciousness.
Of what it means to be human.
And until next time,
may you find wonder
and connection
in everything you do